Okay, so now I'm on chapter 4, I think, but I'll double check, of this book. And oh no, it's not upside down. It's the WWE Championship, a look back at the rich history of the WWE Championship. There it is. I don't know why I keep showing you this. It's right on the thumbnail, but you know, it is what it is. I know you're probably wondering when I'm going to put this back on. I'm probably just going to wait until I'm done reading the thing, and then I'll put it back on. I just feel like reading it like that. But this is what it is. So, now that I've shown you that, allow me to read this part. Before I do that, I actually forgot. I actually have been forgetting to say what time it is in the beginning of the video that I'm recording. I'm recording this on September 9th, 2015 at 9:35 p.m. So, this might be my last one. I'm not really sure. I might try to pre-record another one and then just upload it, so we're going to have to wait and see. But before I get into that, let me do the plugs. Master Soy Wrestling Corner playlist. Right up there. Up there. Check out the videos. They're funny. You'll laugh. I know they're long, but still, it's worth watching. You know, the hour, the 2 hours, they're funny. Check out the Master Soy Wrestling Corner. You won't die laughing. Well, it's some videos. Some videos we just... But when the videos that were just off topic, off the walls, they're funny, and you'll get more funny stuff this Friday on September 11th, 2015. A lot of fun. I hope you guys check it out. But yeah, Master Soy Wrestling Corner, September 11th, 2015. We'll be turning with the Master Soy Wrestling Corner. Check it out. Down below, check out the series of this read alouds for the WWE Championship book, because you're pretty much not going to know what's going on up until this point. You're going to have to read, because I'm not doing the book in all in one video, because the video would be way too long. It'd take way too long to upload, and I don't really feel like talking for that long. So, and I have a life, so yeah. Make sure to check out the other playlists. Okay, now I have a host. I have 3 people host the Master Soy Wrestling Corner, but one of the other hosts has 2 other YouTube channels, and I'm going to talk about them. Over here is one of them. It's James the Heatman Hebert. Well, it's just called James Hebert, what we call him, but his real name is James. Well, his real name is James Hebert, but we call him James the Heatman Hebert. But it's James Hebert. He makes custom Titantrons of professional wrestlers and does other music videos like that. Check it out. Awesome stuff. Over here, right there, is this Way Me Through Wrestling channel. He's hosting a tournament filled with 32 superstars to crown the first ever WYW champion. And I'm going to be in that tournament, and I'm going to win the whole thing and become the very first ever WYW champion. So if you want to see me holding that championship up in the air, check out his channel, and then you'll see it. Okay, and there's other good matches on there too, and I've made a few appearances on there. Now, my other channels, somewhere you can click on for both of them. Owen the Talkinator, where I talk about non-wrestling stuff, and CM Brothers, where I talk about both wrestling and non-wrestling content. And you can click down below to subscribe to my channel, and after I take a sip of water, I'll start reading and giving my thoughts on it. Okay. So before I talk about the chapter, here is Pedro Morales. This is Pedro Morales on the cover right here. So this is chapter 4, and it's called A Reason to Cheer. And I don't know why it's called that, but we're going to see it in a couple of seconds as I read this. As Ivan Koloff was pinning Bruno Sammartino's shoulders to the mat, a young superstar was back in the Madison Square Garden locker room, packing his bag after a successful debut. With just one WWE match on his resume, not many Northeast fans knew much about the newcomer. But in 3 weeks' time, the entire nation would soon be celebrating Pedro Morales. So let's talk about him. Before I get there, here's a match between Pedro Morales and Ivan Koloff. Originally from the small Puerto Rican island of Culebra, Clubre, I don't know how to pronounce it, Morales, moved to Brooklyn to live with his aunt when he was just a boy. So that must have been a big transition to move from Puerto Rico all the way to Brooklyn, New York. That must have been a big transition because it's all cities and stuff like that. Um, like most young Latinos in his borough, I think is what that says. He grew up idolizing Miguel Perez, a mainstay stay on the MSG wrestling scene. I think that's who that is. Once he became old enough, Morales decided to follow in his hero's footsteps and become a professional wrestler. So that's probably who that was, Menje Perez. I don't know how to say his name though. Still a teenager at the time, Morales bounced around New York's small venues for several years. It wasn't until January 1963 that he received his big break, teaming with his idol Miguel Perez, I don't know how to say his name, to battle the Tulos brothers at Madison Square Garden. I don't know who those people are because it's in the 60s. I don't know much stuff about the WWE in the 60s. I'm sorry, but I don't. I'm not being rude, I'm just saying. Okay. His brief time in the spotlight caught the eye of legendary West Coast competitor Freddie Blassie, who urged Morales to take his game to Los Angeles. So that's pretty cool right there, that one match, and then he got to live out his dream. While wrestling in the City of Angels, Morales really started to hone his technical skills, as well as develop that fury tempo he would later become famous for. He went on to capture the territory's heavyweight championship on 2 occasions, defeating the Destroyer and Luke Graham. This valuable time at the top of the card offered Morales the first taste of his main event, an experience he would later draw from to gain WWE access. So that's pretty cool. He was already a champion, like a world champion, before he came to WWE, and that's how some superstars are. They were never WWE champions, but they were like world champions in other promotions. That's how it happens. And I also really like Pedro Morales. What I've noticed about this book is they give descriptions about the superstars in the chapters before they actually talk about how they won the title and all that. Well, if they won the title. So I really like that. So let's continue. Okay. With a wealth of wrestling knowledge now under his belt, Morales returned to New York on January 18th, 1971, the same night Ivan Koloff ended Bruno Sammartino's historic reign. The Russian Bear's shocking victory kicked off the most terrifying title reign WWE fans had ever seen. Luckily for them, though, their fears would soon subside. A mere 3 weeks after capturing the WWE Championship, Ivan Koloff put his gold on the line against newcomer Pedro Morales at MSG. A late match belly-to-belly suplex by the champ appeared to give Koloff the win, but he failed to take his own shoulders off the mat while the referee made the 3 count. Morales, on the other hand, managed to get a shoulder up at the last second. For a brief moment, a sense of confusion fell over the audience. Everyone had not witnessed Morales lift his shoulder late in the count. But when the referee had finally walked over to Morales and raised his hand in victory, the crowd erupted. Even Bruno Sammartino joined in the celebration. Unable to contain his emotions, the former champ bolted from the locker room to congratulate the 4th superstar to ever hold the WWE Championship. That was pretty cool, actually. That sounds like a great finish. And it kind of sucks that they gave Ivan Koloff like a 3 week reign, but I actually can understand that because he was already getting heat, and I just think that was pretty cool. But that sounds like a sick finish. The way Pedro Morales won the well, at the time, the WWF Championship. Um, that he just managed to get his shoulder off the mat right before um, he got pinned. That was pretty cool. I think that's awesome. And then it was a really cool moment to see Bruno Sammartino out there. It probably felt like a Passion of the Torch moment that he was the next baby face in the company, and I thought that was pretty cool. So let me continue. Um, I'm not saying it like I was there. I'm saying it as I'm reading this, by the way. After toppling the hated Russian, Pedro Morales became an instant hero to fans everywhere, especially the large Puerto Rican population in New York. At the time, a good portion of the area's immigrants were living in poverty. To them, Morales as WWE champion provided a reason to cheer, a chance to temporarily leave their worries behind. So that's pretty cool right there, that he was pretty much a hero to Puerto Ricans, and that made him a great babyface. I thought that's cool. I think that's pretty cool right there. Um, eth- eth- ethnic ethnicity. I don't know how to say ethnicity. I don't know how to say the word. So played a big role in Pedro's success. We call WWE Hall of Famer Howard Finkel. He was a god. I was a fan back then, and I would attend a lot of shows where there were always a large number of Puerto Rican fans there. They believed in him. That is one of those things that is so pertinent, I think that says, which is true. Behind the support of his fellow Latinos, Pedro Morales proudly defended the WWE Championship for nearly 3 years. Only Bruno Sammartino, Hulk Hogan, and Bob Backlund have held the title longer. So that's pretty cool that he got to hold that title as long as those legends right there. Well, at least in Hulk Hogan and Bruno Sammartino. Bob Backlund is a legend, but he's not like, to me, he's not like a big of a legend as like Hulk Hogan and Bruno Sammartino is. So that's pretty cool that he got to have that long of a reign, and that he connected with the fans in that extent. Over the course of his epic reign, Morales successfully turned back such future Hall of Famers: George the Animal Steel, Baron Mikko Suk Luna, I don't know how to say, Skik Luna, I don't know how to say that, his last name, and Ernie Ladd. He even battled fellow fan favorite Bruno Sammartino to a 75-minute draw at New York's Shea Stadium. I might try to see if I can watch that match, actually, because that sounds like it would be good. Like Sammartino, it appeared Morales would hold the gold forever, which is why the events of December 1st, 1973 was so unexpected. Morales agreed to put the WWE Championship on the line in Philadelphia against Stan the Man Stasiak, a superstar who gained much of his notoriety competing in the Pacific Northwest and Canada. He had already had a few brief runs with WWE, but nothing that stood out as exceptional. On this night, though, the man would forever etch his name in the annals of sports entertainment history when he pinned Morales to claim the championship. News of Stasiak's win swept like wildfire across the nation, and fans everywhere began to loathe the man who had knocked off their champion. At home, however, the new champ was a bit of a hero. I think that's actually pretty cool. So what it sounds like is the fans, these are how baby faces should be nowadays in WWE. Because anytime, like a bad guy like Ivan Koloff, when Ivan Koloff beat Bruno Sammartino for the title. Now, Stan Stasiak, let me make sure I have his, yeah. When Stan Stasiak beat Pedro Morales, they get instant heat because these are fans they love. And I just love that. And it makes them instant heroes. This is how baby faces should be treated, because you know, this everybody should hate when the heel wins. But then that's not how it's done nowadays with all through the storyline and stuff like that. So let's continue. I was only 3 years old at the time, but I have a vague memory of my father bringing that shiny belt home, recalls Stasiak's son and former WWE superstar Shawn Stasiak. As a toddler, I thought it was a toy belt. I remember carrying it around the house, playing with it, and pretending I was the king of the house. To be honest with you, Shawn Stasiak, nobody knows who Shawn Stasiak is, he was a guy that the WWE brought in and they just squashed him. And recently, hold on, I have to click. I'm sorry. Recently, Shawn Stasiak made this YouTube video talking about the moment when Stan Stasiak was a WWE champion. And Shawn Stasiak wants to be the first son, like father and son. He wants to be the first guy to have both his father and son hold the WWE Championship. And he even says that he's not playing a gimmick. He's not doing any of that. He wants to be the first son to hold the WWE Championship. And I hope the WWE actually does this. They could win this guy back at the Royal Rumble as a surprise entrant. And they can just randomly show this video on YouTube or something. Or they could just bring this guy back as a surprise entrant at the Royal Rumble and have him win the thing. And then you could say, well, that's no...
I'm going to the store in the morning. I'll grab your door.
Okay.
You're hungry, right?
No. But yeah, they should just win this guy back, and then after and have him win the Rumble, have him last eliminate, like, I'm trying to think who could be in that spot, like maybe Bray Wyatt or something like that. I'm not really sure. Have him win, and then the night after they play the video on YouTube that played a few months ago, and then they'll understand why he won, and then you can have this big moment with Shawn Stasiak. He could be facing like a heel Seth Rollins or something like that and have him win the title. That would be sick, but I just wanted to kind of go up and talk about that real quick. So let's continue. Unfortunately, playtime lasted only 9 days. On December 10th, 1973, Bruno Sammartino defeated the man to reclaim the WWE title. For the Italian strongman, the win made him the first ever two-time WWE champion. But for Stasiak, it meant the end of one of the shortest reigns in history. It doesn't matter if he held it for 9 days, 9 seconds, or 9 years. He held it and was one of the original WWE champions. His reign will always be cemented in WWE history, boasts Shawn, whose father passed away in 1997. So that's probably why he's not commenting about this. I would imagine that he would have liked to have held it longer, or at least on some other occasion. But I'll always remember him referring to it as the happiest 9 days of his life. He felt blessed and was very grateful of the opportunity and experience, which is pretty cool. You never really think to look at it that way. It does suck sometimes when these wrestlers get short reigns as WWE champion, or all the other companies. But that's a good way of looking at it, I guess. At least they hold the championship. At least they can say that they were WWE champion. So I think that's pretty cool how he looks at it like that way. I do hope, though, that Shawn Stasiak does end up becoming WWE champion. So let's continue. By Bruno Sammartino's second WWE title run, most of the champ's adversaries from the 1960s either retired or moved on to other promotions, making way for a whole host of new challenges. Despite the fresh faces, however, Sammartino was able to mirror the same success he gained during his first run with the gold. Ken Patera, Bruiser Brody, Nikolai Volkov, they all tried to knock off the mighty champion, but all fell short. Stan Hansen came closest in April 1976. While competing at MSG, Hansen lifted Sammartino for a body slam, a move he had executed successfully thousands of times in the past. This time, however, the champ's sweaty body caused Hansen to lose his grip, and he dropped Sammartino on his head. The failed slam broke the champ's neck. Oh, that doesn't sound good. I'm going to continue. Miraculously, Sammartino continued with the match despite the injury, making him a prime target for Hansen's signature lariat clothesline. In the end, the referee was forced to stop the match due to excessive blood lost by Sammartino. Had the official not made the controversial decision, there's a very real chance today list of WWE champions would include the name Stan Hansen. That's pretty brutal though that happened. I might have to check that out. That that he ended up messing up by having him dropping him on his neck. I actually remember reading about this, and I think that was a good call by the official. I don't know. That probably ended up being like legit. So that's pretty brutal. After only 2 months of rehabilitation, a courageous Bruno Sammartino returned to the ring seeking vengeance. At the second showdown at Shea Stadium, he beat Stan Hansen mercilessly. Eventually, the massacre became too much for the challenger to withstand, and he ran toward the safety of the locker room. Hansen's cowardly act gave Sammartino the count-out win and allowed him to proudly carry the WWE Championship into 1977. His fourth calendar year with the gold strapped firmly around his waist. And this is the match between Bruno Sammartino and Stan Stasiak. I don't know how I... Yeah, this is the match between him and Stan Stasiak. And then that's it. That's the whole thing. So that's the whole book, whole chapter. I thought it was a pretty good chapter. I hope you guys enjoyed this read aloud, and I'll be back to do another one at some point in time.